And now I will set this recording going. All right, we are now recording another episode of Ancestral Boon, hearing about our grandmother Mavis, Mom's mother, and we have some really great photos. That last one you sent looked like Kelsey, with the one with the cousin. I was like, she looks like Kelsey. Anyway, I look forward. I want to see what Holly thinks of that.
Okay.
So turn it over to you, Mom.
Okay. Well, happy to be here and to talk about my mom.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Loved my mom so much, and I miss her very often. I often dream about calling her up. So I guess we could show that first picture of her with her brother. They were two little blondies. So I think she's about 2 and he's about 6. He's 4 years older than she is.
Hang on a sec. I was
It's
set up
okay.
and then here we go. Okay. I'm ready to share now. Here we are.
There they
Oh
are.
my gosh, look at that.
They're pretty cute.
They are cute.
She was born in Strathmore, which is near Lindsay, near Fresno. And so she's a native Californian. And her big brother Bill was real important in her life and in mine too. Loved him. He was so funny and fun. And both of them kind of could have been movie stars. They both liked drama, and their mom did too. So there's a lot of community theater with them. But there they are as little cuties. And I think you could go. There's another one next that they're a little bit older. My grandmother's sister Francine had a boy named Richard, and this is Richard. So he's
Which one?
little one, a little one in the
Little
middle.
one in the middle.
Yeah,
A little sassy one in the middle.
yeah. He was a great person. He was a real genius, and he was an electrician. But one story about him that was fun was he used to fix up electric things in his parents' house when he was pretty much like junior high. And so he fixed this for his mother, Francine. Now, when she turned off her alarm, other things happened. And I don't know quite, maybe this is just a magical story, but the bath water would turn on for her and she would, it would be all prepared. I think the coffee started to percolate. And there were some other things that happened, but there was, so it was very delightful for her to get up and get into the shower, except the one morning when she tried to do that and she got a shock because there was like plumbing and electricity kind of intertwined there. But that's one of the Richard stories. He was fun. So this is about the age when I'm thinking my Uncle Bill wasn't quite as sweet as he looked. And my mother wanted to play with him. He was her big brother, but some of their games were a little bit rough. One of them was he would punch her in the nose till it bled, and she would pick poppies, and they would see how many poppies she could fill up with blood from her nose. And that was one of the games they played, and both seemed to enjoy. As he got older, there were a lot of things he did, like put broken glass at the bottom of the slide and other things that just didn't seem very friendly. But his best story that I thought was when he was a teenager and he had a car. I don't know what kind it was, but he kind of could make that car go fast. And he had a girlfriend who lived on a corner downtown. And he had mother in the car with him. But of course, they didn't have seatbelts. And so he came in front of her house, the girlfriend's house. She was sitting out on the porch with her mother and father. And he just stepped on it and just turned that car backwards and a couple of times around as he was going around the corner. And my mother's door flew open and she was thrown out into the orchard. So he stopped the car and he ran up to where she was and he said, "Are you hurt?" And she said, "Nope." And he said, "Okay, that's good. But if you tell mother, I'll kill you." Anyway, I was kind of glad to have an older sister after hearing those kind of stories about Bill.
Yeah, I think brothers can be tough. I was noticing his little pants. I think it's just a mark on the photo. I was looking at the little mark on his knee, but I think it's just an old photo. Looked like he had like a hole in his pants.
Maybe it's a patch or something. I
Yeah.
can't tell either.
Yeah, he has a little. I can see why you thought to tell those stories with this image.
Yeah,
He
little
looks
ornery
like
guy.
trouble. Yeah.
Oh, they dressed him up though. So I wanted you to know that she had a lot of fun as a little child. Here she is with her brother, and that's Francine holding that little blonde girl, and Ruth, my grandmother, with Billy, they called him. And this is a picture of their father, Freeman. If you remember, he's the one that drove the truck and built that thing so that he could carry cars. So they lived in the San Joaquin Valley and really checked out the mountains around there and got real acquainted with them. It's so nice. They were often out in the woods. And here is a picture. Oh, that's with that's with Ruth.
Same place.
Yeah, grandmother Ruth. Uh-huh. And this one I wanted you to see. They had so many fun outings for the whole family by the sequoia trees. And there they are by one of those massive trees. And I can't pick out any faces, but here we're moving on. Looks like so. Yeah, that's
Did
it.
you ever go?
Oh, this was when my mother was a little girl.
Oh, never mind.
But we went a lot when I lived in Lindsay. We'd go up many times. It was fun.
I was just trying to zoom in the picture a little bit and it moved
Yeah.
everything around.
Oh, okay. It's all right. Well, next, I think you have her dressed up in a Halloween costume or something. Yes. I think she was a flower.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the next one reminded me of the story you've already heard about when she was about this age. And she was very curious about what human flesh might taste like. So she went out behind the barn and built a small fire. And she was kind of losing her nerve by then. But when it was blazing, she brought a knife from the kitchen. And she thought that this area right around her elbow, for some reason, she thought that was fleshy. I don't know how. That's where she made the first cut. And it just bled enormously. And so she sat trying to get her nerve up to make the second cut because she had a little stick ready to put that piece of meat on the fire. But she couldn't do it. And finally, it turned to coals and the coals turned to ashes. And so she was very disappointed with herself that she never had the taste of human flesh. And I don't think she went to the doctor. I think they just put some band-aids or something on it. But you can see she was a happy little cutie and was a sweet family. I think they got along. They cut that blonde hair. It's kind of very like this. And I can only guess at her age here. Later, you'll see how old she looked when she was in high school. She graduated at 16, and she looks like a grown-up. But this picture, I think, I'm just making this up, but I think it's about when her dad died. So he died when she was 10. He died in 1930. If you remember, Grandmother Ruth's husband, Frank, died really young too. So that was a huge loss for her. And what happened additionally is that her mother left my mother and Bill with her mother, Kitty Whitaker, and she was married to Hilger, grandfather Hilger by then, a stepfather, and went down to LA to learn how to be a nurse because she was a widow, and she needed to earn a living. She didn't get to go to college, Grandmother Ruth, so she went down to LA, and Mother and Bill lived with Kitty and Grandfather Hilger. And there was some trouble there. Grandfather Hilger could be really mean. Grandmother Ruth was there, fortunately, or maybe it was Kitty. One of them, one time, Grandfather Hilger got mad at Mother, and either my grandmother Ruth or great grandmother Kitty opened the door for my mother. It was already dark outside, it was night, and said, "Run, run." So she spent the night outside hiding because he was mad enough to kill her, evidently. So she did survive that, but she wasn't really happy with those grandparents. And Bill learned how to get around them very well. He smoked cigarettes. He was probably 17 or 18, I think, by then. And they told him he couldn't smoke in the house or on the property. So he started off when he'd come up the driveway, he would take one last drag on his cigarette and then put it out at the end of the driveway. And then the next week, he'd just keep smoking till he got to the house and then stamp on that cigarette and come on up the porch. And pretty soon he was smoking on the porch. And after that, he was smoking in the house. And nobody ever said a word. And my mother just watched him in amazement how he got away with things, but he got away with things. So, next picture we have is with my beloved Grandpapa Oates, who's sitting in the middle. And I was thinking of you both taking on kids and J-Man taking on kids. It might have been kind of scary for Papa Oates to take on these two great big grown-up people. But as you know, he was a wonderful guy, and they loved him. We all loved him to pieces, Grandfather Oates. So they got along fine, right from the beginning and forever until Grandpapa Oates died. So it's kind of a cute picture of them, and they already look a little bit won over, I think, by Oates. I wish I could bring him back to life for you. He was such a delight. So anyway, that's kind of a cuter and happier picture. So here we have some more glamorous shots of Mother. So I think she might still be in high school here, looks like to me. But they did a lot of formal photographs in those days, which is nice. There's another one after this, isn't there, Heather? That's sort of the same. Yeah, a more coy sort of look. But I don't know if you can even recognize her in that, but they're very pretty pictures.
I was noticing how the photograph is ripped or cut out here.
Uh-huh.
There's like somebody cut along the roof line, but I was curious about that.
I know. I don't know what that was about.
And this one is as well. This is cut here. And it would have, whatever it was, would have been behind this bush. So, not a person.
Yeah, it's a question.
Anyway,
when she was
some scrapbooking.
Maybe. When she was you can stay there if you want, or either one of them. But in high school, she became very rebellious, and I was thinking, Heather, how you said you felt like rebelling after we moved to Arcata. So one of the ways she rebelled was she didn't like dressing out for PE because she didn't like getting sweaty, and she didn't like the little thing they had to wear. We had a one-piece little weird thing that I wore too when I was in high school. And afterwards, she wanted a very nice long shower, so she would miss the next period of class. So she was in trouble a lot with that in high school. And I think she ran with kind of a tough crowd. But anyway, really mattered to her to lose that daddy, I think. Okay, what else we have here after that one? Oh, this is the high school graduation. And first of all, this number 36 there is Tyra, my mother's best friend. And Justin, she was a really important part of our family, actually. She had a son named Charles. Her husband died in World War II, and so she gave birth. Never got to meet his son, but they lived with her father, who was a character. They were very, very British, and they lived in a big, funny old house, and they were just delightful, wonderful people. That Heather and Holly, you remember Holly? You remember? Yeah, we all love them like family. Um, anyway, they all look kind of glamorous, don't they? Down in this, there, the bottom right for you is mother, and she does not look 16 to me. What do you think? Very grown up and very beautiful.
Yeah. That's interesting. Your thesis that her father dying changed her and made her tougher.
It was just a thought. It could
Something
have
like
been
that.
other things. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she did have like a tough brother. Like
Yeah.
you can kind of see that in this picture here. Like you could see why they'd let him smoke in the house.
Yeah. He's a big guy.
He's a big guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun. It's fun or it's frustrating too, like what we don't know about. We don't know to ask people when we have them
No,
about what she was feeling in these images and
we
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
really.
But they had a good photographer for this
I'm
set.
so glad she had a best friend in Tyro. I wouldn't, aren't they good? Yeah. Yeah. Lindsay High School. So she and my grandmother and Penny all graduated from the same high school. Lindsay. It's kind of neat. Um, so then what do we do? Oh, this is another picture. That's another pretty picture of Tyra and mother. And that's a very handsome one of my Uncle Bill. He was always handsome. He was the one who was a Air Force pilot. I'm probably forgetting stories and things here. Oh, I did forget when mother was little. I still have a letter in her handwriting where she wrote to the Strathmore Library and said, in a perfect grammar and spelling, she said, "Would you please order some new books? I have read every book in your library already." She was 7 or something like that, maybe 8. I don't know, but um, like like you guys and like your kids, smart. Okay, there they are. Oh, and this is what happened. My mother and her cousin Bunny. My mother got to go to Florida and for the summer, and that was a big thing, a happy thing in her life. I think that was, that was it for traveling for her in those days. So this is the mid 30s, and she had a fabulous time
Trip.
in Florida. She did. But her mother thought it was funny. The first letter she wrote home, she said, "There are the most beautiful trees here. They're called palm trees, and they're so pretty." And her mother wrote back and said, "Yes, you have 12 of those on each side of your driveway at our house." But they look very different in Florida than the valley. So here they are being rowdy. And then the second one, this is the one Heather thought looked like Kelsey. Um, this is a boy that's in the family. He's younger than mother, but a really great kid. And that's all this blonde stuff we have from the marbles. They were all very blonde, but I loved how relaxed she looks in that picture. Do you think she looks like Kelsey, Holly? I think she looks a little like a lot of us. I think sometimes she looks like me. Anyway, I think his name was Leslie, and I got to know him when he was a grown up, and he was a wonderful character. He was the cousin she had, I think, who went up in a Ferris wheel with her. And then as it was going around in motion, he would climb down and get in between the next seat or the next seat where there were two girls. he was fearless. He did all kinds of things. When she first met him, he came out to California by himself, and he entered her house while they were at the dinner table by coming through the dining room window. Just stepped through it. So he was kind of a showman. And when I knew him, he was old and he had a fast car, and it was real fun to be with. All right, let's see. There,
What
she's.
Justin was wondering what Leslie's last name is. Is it
Oh
is
gosh,
that Lowry?
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
You saw that. Good
He's
for
always
you.
got he always has the tree out looking at it.
Okay, yeah. So he probably sees Bunny. That's the one I remembered. That was his sister, maybe Bunny Lowry, the one she's hiding
There's
in.
Myrtle and Helen.
Okay, yeah, I think Myrtle was their mother, and Helen was one of the sisters. I think. No, maybe Bunny was a nickname or something. Yeah.
Is daughter, so she probably went by Bunny.
Oh,
What?
Their mother and daughter were named the same, different middle names, so I'm sure the daughter went by Bunny. That was her mom's, or
Okay.
maybe.
Myrtle H.
We don't know.
Myrtle
Uh,
Henrietta was
Myrtle, I remember that.
That's the mom, and then Myrtle Francis.
Yeah.
Myrtle
Yeah.
Francis is the daughter.
Oh, Myrtle. Okay. So, okay, then we come to this picture below. That's the real glamorous one that I have on the staircase. Can you get to the curly girl? There she is. That's my favorite picture ever. I think it's so pretty. Must have been a perm. No curls in that family. So this might be, she went from high school in Strathmore to Fresno College. And that's what they called it in those days, I think. And so this would be about then. And that's where she met my dad. And my dad's 5 years older. He had been working all that time and in the CCCs, if you remember. So he was 5 years older than she, and in the same year at school. Um, and they were sitting together at a lecture that was, at a big school. Sometimes they have, it's like a theater where the seats are high, go up. And they had, remember, you had desks like this too in school, where it was a little desk on one side that you could write on while you were listening. So he had that, and he was sort of writing while the lecturer was lecturing. And she was sort of reading it because she was bored. And at one point, she actually unintentionally pulled it over so she could read it better, which is when he noticed that she was reading it. And it was very funny. And what it was he was making fun of another writer who had written in the college paper, and he was kind of tearing that article to shreds and making fun of the guy and all of this. And it turned out he was making fun of his own article. So that's what kind of a guy he was. He was so smart and could do cartoons. Oh, I told you all that when I told you about him. So that's how they met, and fell in love and got married. And so I think I have a picture. Oh, there, I just threw in my glamorous uncle. He does look like a movie star, don't you think? His wife, I know you've heard this before, when he would be like, Saturday morning with a beer in front of the TV and he hadn't shaved or anything, she'd say, "Would you please go put on your uniform and stand by an airplane?"
Like
So,
Mildred.
yeah, Mildred, she would say that to him. So this is the closest thing I have for a wedding picture of them. There's my mother on one side, obviously, and my father on the far side. And that's grandfather Hilger in the middle. And I think it might be Oates, although I don't really know if I shouldn't even say that because it doesn't look like Oates to me. I don't know. But there were several family pictures, but I thought you'd maybe want to see another one of Hilger and my mother and dad. So This is a pretty picture of her with Penny, with her long hair. And they were a real happy family for a little bit. Um, so that's a cute one of Penny. Heather kept seeing Penny's children in these pictures of Penny.
Yeah, that looks like Jimmy.
Uh-huh. You think? Yeah. Anyway, she looks good. And then she's here with Penny under a tree. That looks more like her for us, don't you think? So that's a cute picture, I think. So I think the next picture's strangely the only picture I have of my mother with me as a little one. Isn't that strange? And I think maybe she took all the pictures in the family or something, but there's all kinds of pictures of her with Penny as a baby. But this is that very sad picture I've shared with you before of we think she had postpartum depression. Um, so that she got very mixed up, and my grandmother put her in a sanitarium, and they gave her shock treatments, and she was there, I think, 6 months or something like that. And this picture's taken when they've let her out, and it looks dingy. And that's Uncle Bill with my cousin Lauren, who's really looking quizzically at my mother's face, isn't she? She's really studying my mother. So Lauren is 4 months younger than I am, but she was always littler than I was, and I was a really fat baby, and my grandmother took care of Penny and me while my mother was in that sanitarium, and I think I yelled and cried all the time, and she kept feeding me, so I got fat, and this was a real hard time for my mother. My father left her, I think before I was, no, I think he left her right as I was born or something terrible. And so after she got out of the sanitarium, my grandmother got her an apartment in Berkeley, or near Berkeley, and um, groceries for a week. And then I think she furnished it or had it furnished. And then she kissed my mother goodbye and said, "You can do this." And my mother told us that she leaned on the doorway between the kitchen and the living room and thought, "I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this." And that is where she had her religious experience of, she felt what she called the peace that passes understanding flow through her. It was like a reassurance that was spiritual to her, that told her, yes, she could do that. She would be helped and she could do that. So she didn't ever like tell that story to lots of people or anything. But, and she took us to church. My father would come if there was a good choir. He liked good music. But my mother took us to a congregational church, and she and Penny and I all got baptized at the same time, which is kind of unusual. And that was a really good thing for us, that church and that time. So she had depression. They gave her something for that, but she really had lots of highs and lows. And when she was happy, she was the most happy, and when she was sad, she was most sad. And Heather and I worried about her hurting herself. Sometimes when she was really upset, she'd drive off real fast in the car, and that was really scary for us. But we had a lot of wonderful times too. We have some pictures of that, but I wanted to make sure you knew the story. Two stories. One, when I was about 9, I was hanging out the clothes on the Is this starting to sound familiar? Hanging the clothes out on the clothesline. And she was in reading the paper. My sister and I were sure we did all the work. Mother was reading the newspaper at the kitchen table, and I came in and I said, "Look, I dropped one of Dad's black socks in the dirt, and look at the pattern that the dirt made on this sock." And it just looked beautiful to me, black and brown. I always like a chocolatey brown with black, and it was a very interesting, beautiful pattern on that sock. So, as usual, she looked at me and took a big drag out of her cigarette, and she wanted to make sure I wasn't being cutesy, artsy, you know. So she said, "So now what are you going to do with it?" And I said, "Oh, well, I'll wash it and hang it back up." And that's when she said to me, my blessing, she said, "Alexandra, you're going to have a wonderful life." So I guess she saw the art appreciation and the practicality. Uh, I walked out that door feeling like, wow, I get to have a great life. It was a really wonderful thing to say to a child. And the other story I've told you too. So this is kind of for grandkids, you know. We appreciate your listening and hope you'll add stories of your own. Was when I was 12, I had pneumonia, and I came out one morning. My mother was in the kitchen, and I cried and I said, "I feel like I've done something really bad. I feel like I've done something horrible, but I can't think what it is." And I was crying. And so 12-year-old, you know, coming into puberty, there's all kinds of things my mother could have thought. And she looked at me for a minute and then she said, "You know, that sounds like a drug reaction. Let's see what's on your cough medicine." So that made me feel better already. She didn't say to me, "What have you done?" or "Where have you been and who have you been with?" Those scary questions. So she got the medicine. She says, "There's codeine in here. You're not supposed to have codeine. The last time you had this, you were a baby and you were sick, and I couldn't come in your room because whenever I did, you screamed at me like I was a monster. It caused hallucinations for you when you were a baby, and now it's giving you what we just call the guilties, where you feel guilty for something you didn't do." So that was the first time I'd heard about that when I was a baby. And I still don't take codeine because God knows now that I have a lot of things to feel guilty about. I don't know how it would manifest or if, but she was that kind of a perceptive mother, and felt very lucky to have her. And she was also a whole lot of fun. Another favorite story was when I was in college and came home for the summer. I invited all my friends over. Our house was always open to friends, like your houses and are. And so I made a pound cake, and I did something terrible. It was very, very dry. And my mother, again, with her cigarette, I brought it to her and I was crying. "I ruined the cake and they're all going to come over. It's horrible." She said, I'll tell you what one does with a dry cake, dear." And she poured almost an entire bottle of rum on it. And my friends were delighted. They really loved that. I tried that at a birthday party when I was a grown up. Remember? It was Lisa. We're in book club together, but she turned 65 or something and asked me to make a cake. And I made a carrot cake, but I brought a bottle of rum and told them that story. And I said, "So I brought this just in case the cake tastes dry to you. Would anybody like some on it?" And of course, they all wanted rum on their carrot cake. So it's a good trick for you, whether or not the cake is dry. So I think we have some pictures. Oh, yeah, here's a cute one. That's my Aunt Mildred, who's married to Uncle Bill. She looked like a movie star to me, too. And my mother looks a little frumpy here or sleepy or something. But that's Penny in between them. And my cousin Leslie in front of her. I just talked to Leslie for an hour last night. And then little Lauren, who's combing her hair in front of her mother. And I'm over on this side. Um, So we did lots of things with their family, and we actually lived in their house in Lindsay because my uncle had gone to be in the Air Force, and they had this real cute little empty house quarter mile from my grandmother, and we'd run down back and forth down that road together. So that's when we were little with my mom. And then this is my mother as a school teacher. And I love that pose of hers. We saw that a lot. And of course, you've heard those stories about my mother. The one this makes me think of is she was teaching fifth grade, and it was her first day of school. So she was sitting at the desk trying to get things together, and the door was open. And this young guy, look, I mean, he probably had been in fifth grade for a couple of years. He was pretty grown up. Anyway, he came to the door and he looked in and he said, "Hi, babe." And my mother looked at him and said, "That would be Mrs. Babe to you." So, of course, she won him over immediately. And she was so good with all the kids, and they loved her so much. She taught English and she taught drama. She did all of the school plays, um, and they were great. And she had so much fun with the kids. She loved them. But another one of the stories I remember was they had share time, and this little boy brought in a gopher in a paper bag, and he reached in the bag. He was proud. "I have this pet gopher now because I found him out in the backyard and I brought him in, and he's my pet gopher." And he reached in the bag and he goes, "Ow!" and drops it. And he said, "The son of a bitch bit me." And my mother did not correct him. She just thought that was probably an appropriate thing to say. So anyway,
I also remember the story with the kid that came in with his shirt unbuttoned.
Oh, right. I think that might have been in high school. I don't know, but when she taught high school. But yeah, this guy came in with his shirt undone all the way down to his navel, kind of walking in like that. And as he walked in the door, I think this was kind of mean, actually, but he walked in the door, kind of posed at the door before entering where all the peons were sitting. And my mother said, "Honey, would you please button up your shirt? If there's anything I don't like to look at, it's a hairless chest." That's pretty mean, don't you think?
Hairy chested men everywhere love it. Because later that was not in. I don't think I've ever seen that picture. I love that picture.
Oh, she's so.
I hope I look like that in every meeting.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, you do strike that pose. You have that presence, I think. Yeah, I love this. I haven't seen this one either, or not that I remember.
It's very pretty,
Yeah.
I think, of her. Fun. Yeah, and you all know about the time I was with her and two boys were standing off with knives in their hands, and she just walked. She didn't know them; they weren't her students. We were out in public, and she just walked up to both of them and said, "Give me those knives," and they each put one in her hand in a nice way like that. And when she came back towards me, she went like this. She said, "I don't know why I was that brave," but they obviously didn't want to fight, right? It was great for them to have this authority figure, and she could definitely be that. Come relieve them of those weapons. Another one of those stories is I have two more. One, she sometimes had to take care of the detention kids, and they'd have to stay after school an hour. And she'd have a whole room full of them from the high school, not just her class, but everybody who was on detention, she'd have them. And she'd get restless because it was late. And sometimes she got hungry and hot, and they didn't have air conditioning then. So the ice cream truck came by, and she said, "Oh my God, I need an ice cream." And that means it would be rude to eat in front of you, wouldn't it? So she bought all of them an ice cream for detention. Strangely, they loved her. I don't know, but when I was in high school, my high school was about 3 or 4 miles out of town. So she was giving me a ride one day, and all of the rough boys who smoked were about a mile away from campus because that's where they had to quit smoking, standing by the road. And when we got up to them, my mother pulled over and opened the doors, and they all got in the car. There were, I don't know how many. I feel like there were 10 or I don't know, but they all got in the car. And everybody said, "Thank you, Alex." And I didn't even know their names. I was like a bad snotty. I didn't mean to be snotty, but I didn't know them, and we were not in the same circles. And I just said, "You're welcome." It was my mother's idea or something like that. But she related to those kids because she was one of the bad kids. She smoked real young, and she liked them. And then the story about her helping get the pool desegregated. I've talked to Sharon and Chuck about that, and they don't remember anything as dramatic as the fact that it was not going to be for Mexican children when it was first built. Chuck can't even believe that. So I don't know, but what happened in that was in her high school. They brought papers to hand out to all the children to tell them that the pool was going to be open and when to come and stuff. And so she gave the papers to a little boy and said, "Please pass them out to everyone." And he started by giving one to a little Chicano boy in the front row. And she said, "Oh, don't give him one. He's not allowed in the pool." And everybody said, "What?" She said, "Nope, Mexican kids are not allowed in the pool." So I brought up this whole discussion of why not. And she actually said out loud, "I don't know. Some people think they're dirty, and the kids were horrified. And one little boy said, "Oh, that's terrible. You sometimes at a pool, you can walk in a little pool of dysentery before you get in the water." Mother said, "That's disinfectant." And yes, that's true. Anyway, so they got really strangely, nothing to do with her, I'm sure, incensed, and went home and talked to their parents about this. And I don't know the timing or even the truth, but the pool was segregated. And my mother was almost run out of town, except that my grandmother was the chair of the Republican Central Committee. So they were not going to send her daughter out of town. So my mother got to stay in town while that was going on. So
I also am reminded of how I don't remember if it was you or Penny had to go to school and talk about her race, and she was told that she was all the races or something.
Yes.
Will you tell that one?
Yeah. We moved around in California, and Penny was very observant of other children. And the first one was a little black girl that with her mother that my mother and Penny saw long before I was born in the grocery store. And Penny stopped and pointed at her and said, "What's that?" And both mothers went like this, and mother got down by her and said, "That's a little Negro girl. She looks about your age, and she has dark skin. She's a little Negro girl." And fortunately, Penny said, "Isn't she beautiful?" and went up and hugged her. While both mothers felt very relieved. That's how it turned out. So mother, when Penny would run into somebody who looked different or sounded different, a mother would take out a map and said, "These people are, they're from whatever." I remember, well, we had Mexican, black people, and who were the great people that cooked all that good food? It starts with a B. Basque people, Armenians, showed them where countries were on the map stuff. And then every time she said, "And we're part black," or "We're part Mexican," and "We're part Armenian." So they were all dark-haired people. So Penny was blonde then. So when she told her scout leader, she said, I know we're supposed to dress up in country of our heritage, but I don't know what to wear." And her teacher said, "Well, what are you?" So she named all of those things. And my mother said, "Oh, honey, you should have thrown in a Swede." So, a little blonde hair or something. So, yeah, we were not brought up to be racist. And gosh, that story about the swimming pool, I didn't hear that story for a long time. We lived in the Bay Area, um, and we had neighbors there who were Mexican, and I was like best friends with the girl, and I kind of in love with Sunny. And Sunny married Carolyn, our next door neighbor girl, and I got to be in that wedding. And they were like my ideal couple. They were so, she was dark Italian, he was Mexican, and they were both beautiful, and I adored them. So then we moved to Lindsay, where I picked up on the racist culture there. So I came home and said to my mother, this um, dirty Mexican pushed me in the pool. And she said, "Oh, you mean like Sonny?" And that was like being slapped in the face for me. That was such a wake up that those were one and the same. Mexican person was an equal friend in San Lorenzo, and he actually lived across the tracks in another part of California. Um, and she would explain some things to the kids. For one thing, um, the non-Mexican kids, boys, always ridiculed the fact that when they fought with a Mexican kid, the Mexicans kids came in and helped in the fight rather than one on one, the cowboy American thing. There. And my mother said, yeah, they stand up for each other. They're standing up for each other because there are fewer of them than you, and it's not fair what's happening, and they're in there to help their friend. So she could give them a different face. And also another one, a Mexican boy came in and he'd sprayed his shoes gold. And they started to make fun of him about that. And she said, so what would you do if you didn't get to have your brand new shoes every school year? What if you had just old shoes? You know, I'd spray mine gold. What the hell? You know, you got old shoes. Why don't you just do something different with them? So she did a lot of very frank talking with her students. And of course, they loved her to pieces. And she was always on the borderline of maybe being fired or something. She spoke out. She spoke out.
How long was she a teacher?
Oh, let's see. Most of the time, she quit and became a probation officer late while I was grown, I think.
Mm.
But she taught first elementary and then high school. That was her career till she was a probation officer, and she was good with those kids too. Except I think this happens. I know it happens to policemen too. When you hang around with people who get in trouble, then you get suspicious of people. So when we were on a beach one time, there was a older man with a little girl, and she said, "Huh, I wonder who he is." And I said maybe he's her grandfather, but she was like on the lookout for trouble. And Javan said he worked with a police department where they deliberately moved the officers into different kinds of jobs to try to allay that suspicion that grows that everybody's bad or something.
Mm.
So one time she was sitting at her desk, and some boys broke out. She worked right in juvenile hall in her office, and they came in her office, and first thing they did was rip the phone out of the wall. And my mother just said, "Don't hurt me. I'm not going to do anything to you. Don't hurt me. Just leave me." And they did. They just left her there in her room, and she was able to get her purse and get out, which seemed like pretty quick thinking to me.
Yeah, I wanted to just like orient us in time,
Oh,
because
it's
no,
late.
not on our time, but like you were born in 47,
Uh-huh.
and so this would be like in the 60s,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
This image and her teachings, these stories that you're talking about would be
Yeah,
the
maybe.
60s.
Yeah, I think early 60s, late 50s, maybe
Mhm.
that picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So So the timeliness of her being an anti-racist, and
Uh-huh.
larger
still-
events happening in the,
Mhm.
yeah.
We still use the word Negro then.
Mhm. Yeah, that was another reason why I wanted to
Yeah.
locate us in time here. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So we had Jewish friends, and we didn't have any close black friends, but anyway, I was lucky that they weren't racist. Uh, and all in all, it was a wonderful place to grow up. I did spend a lot of time trying to make people laugh at the dinner table because sometimes things got heavy between my parents. This next picture, I think I showed it to you when I was talking about my dad, who's on the far left. And it's his brother, Joe. If you remember, he was the comedian. And my father never laughed as loud and as often as when he was with his brother. And that was my uncle's wife with them. So it was just sort of a picture of they're having fun and a good time. And
It
then I
really
think,
looks like you there. That expression makes me think of you, Mom.
oh, your mother does?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
yeah. When I
Yeah,
cover
that
up her
looks like you.
hair, it looks like me to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
Yeah.
weird,
Yeah.
that particular picture.
Totally. Yeah.
So after that, this is about the only holiday I remember taking. We went to Mount Lassen, and we just had a wonderful time. But you could tell, look at them; they had so much fun. But I thought that was a cute picture of a happy time. So, um, my father and mother, it got so it wasn't all that happy for them, but they were muscling through. But when I was a sophomore in college, my father left my mother, and she said, "I thought we were through all the hard part. I thought we were going to be okay." And he married his secretary, Betty, and it wasn't the usual story of some young cute thing. Betty was bigger than he was in both direction, height and width, and a very sweet person who had been married to somebody who beat her or something. And she just worshiped my dad, told him all the time how smart he was. And um, so that was really hard on my mother. And uh, she was very sad. And she was, how old did I tell you she was at the time? I think she was like 47 or something. That would be, let's see what, yeah, she was 27 when I was born. So that would be about when I went to college, or is when that happened. And so 47 years old, and having to start all over. So she moved out of the house into a really pretty apartment, made it the way she liked it. And eventually she wound up with a boyfriend, kind of like Penny did. And his name was Jim, Big Jim. And he was very good to her because she contracted a colon cancer. And she always thought she got away with smoking because she didn't have lung cancer, but colon cancer, we all learned later, is also caused by smoking, or can be. And so for a couple of years, she would come to Penny's house on one day and the next day to my house when Holly and Heather were little in San Lorenzo. And then Jim would pick her up and take her home for the night and take care of her. And then the next day, we'd alternating having her for a day with each other. And it was a sad, hard time because she didn't feel well. And so at one point, the doctor said, "We're going to have to amputate your leg." And she said, "That's it for me." So things were pretty careless about the right to die in those days. And so the doctor had her go to the hospital and gave her morphine. And we would go visit her. All the kids had to play outside in the hospital grounds or in the car or run crazy. And we go up and remember painting her toenails. And the first day she was ecstatic about what a beautiful view of the ocean she had. It was the morphine making her happy. But most of the time then, she'd be asleep when we do things like paint her toenails and be with her. But she died in the hospital. And this photo that you also see on our wall by the staircase is when she was diagnosed with cancer. And while she still had her hair, she just went from the doctor to a photographer shop and had that picture taken because she knew she wasn't going to look like this afterwards. And it's a beautiful picture of her, but you have to remember she was Heather's age. Actually, you're not there yet because she was like June of being 56 and she turned 57 in August. So she was almost 57, but so young, so young.
Yeah, I'll be 56 in a couple months here.
No,
Crazy.
it is crazy. And
So
now she looks young to me in this picture. She used to look old to me in this picture.
She was
I know what you
diagnosed.
mean.
She was diagnosed and passed that quickly.
No, it was a couple of years.
Oh, I thought you were. Okay.
Yeah.
She died when she was 56.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Almost 57.
So she's actually younger than I am in this
Yeah.
photo.
Probably
Yeah.
55 or 54. Not much more than that.
That's wild.
Yeah,
I guess I got the look. I got the silver hair and the glasses.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty good and cute.
That's so trippy to me that I'm that age now.
I know it. It was for me too.
Scary. Yeah.
I know. We just want to get past those years that we lost our parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, I
I-
definitely
I-
remember the hospital days.
yeah.
What were you gonna say, Hall?
I don't remember the hospital days at all, but I do remember mom being 54, 55, 56,
Uh-huh.
57, 58. I think about it a lot
Yeah.
coming in to these.
Yeah.
to my age.
Yeah. It's weird,
very
like my
next-
heart is like scared feeling right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
I mean, I'm also Rachel Carson. I'm teaching her in a week, and she died at 56
Oh.
of cancer. So
Yeah.
it's trippy to be the age that people die
Oh.
of cancer. And,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think about too, like what if I only had 2 years left? What would I do differently in this moment? Right. Yeah. I have a sticker on my computer that has the number of days and the average lifespan. Cause sometimes you think about like, oh, what if you only had 7,000 days left?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's a good thing it's part of life to think about death, and it makes it more
Yep.
precious, life.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a good
Yep.
thing. Mhm.
Right.
But I thought of you when Kelsey was 29, not quite 30. Kelsey so loves you and is so dependent on you. It kind of brought it really up to my face how I was that way with my mother. I love my mother. And boy, no way Kelsey could do without you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kelsey could single-handedly destroy the universe, but also needs her mother. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's her mommy, both.
She has
Yes.
good taste too.
I do appreciate it. It was fun to have them up here because she's so funny because they're although I feel like all the women in the family are such forces to be reckoned with. But she
Yeah.
said she felt very validated by how exhausted we were by
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
routine, right? Like
That's for true.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember Mavis maybe better than Holly does.
Yeah. You were
I
older.
remember her very clearly, like when she would come over to our house in Santa Paula before she was sick, and she would always have double mint gum
Yeah.
and juicy fruit in her purse, and she had a white leather purse, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was always kind of glamorous seeming to me, and she brought us glamorous clothes, like in white boxes, and it felt
Yeah.
such like a different culture from like the 70s Santa Paula life that we were living. And I remember she drove that big giant Cadillac,
I
and
guess that's what it
it
was. Yeah.
smelled like cigarettes inside.
Uh-huh.
And there was one time when you guys went in the store and I stayed in the car and I peed in the car but everybody was very nobody shamed me
Oh,
for
I
it.
felt so bad for you. I felt so bad
Yeah.
for you.
And then I remember when Holly was born, staying at her house, which
Oh.
I wasn't even 2 yet, but I
No,
remember
you do.
staying
Wow.
there and just like her apartment was way up high and there was a
Uh-huh.
balcony and it was really cool that she was a bird watcher and she had candy in jars that in her apartment and it just there was I can remember that room and just like how
Oh,
cool
yeah.
she was that she was her house. It was hers all to herself.
Yeah.
And I remember there was like a hallway and then
Uh-huh.
there was like a den and it kind of had like a leather couch. It didn't have like a guest bed in it, but like making that's where I slept.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And there was like a I don't know, it's cool how much I can remember of that space of her apartment. And
Mhm.
then of course she I had a special day. I'm sure Holly had special days with her too, where I stayed overnight and then she took me to the Ventura Pier and the restaurant there. And she said, order whatever you want. And I said, I'll have a plate of bacon. And that's what I had for breakfast because that was my
Yeah.
favorite food. And she did, yeah, like in your stories, it brings back that kind of humor that she had,
Uh-huh.
that the way she'd hold back.
Uh-huh.
And there was like a drama to her. And even
Yes.
when she was sick, she would come to our house and you would paint her toenails in that salmon color.
Uh-huh.
And she would sit in the white chair.
Yep.
Is that Papa Oat's chair, the white chair with the
Uh-huh.
plastic? That Holly has
Yeah.
that now, I think.
Yeah.
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 She would sit in that with that round table
And a
and
cigarette.
smoke. And she would smoke. And
Yeah.
her cigarette would just like the ash would just begin to droop. And I would wait for her to tap that
Tap.
ash, and she would just at the last minute.
Yeah.
And then I do remember when you would go up in the hospital, and yeah, we played on the lawn in front of the hospital, Holly and I. We played in the elevator, pushing the
You probably
button.
with your cousins too, huh? They were there
I
too.
don't really remember
Oh,
them being there. I just remember it being me and Holly.
I see.
Probably
Yeah.
dad was around. I don't know. Kids then you could just trust them to be fine.
I know. I don't know where he was, probably at work or something, because I know we'd be arrested for things we did with our children, leaving them in cars and things.
Yep.
But so Holly, I think you just remember that she made you eat a sandwich that you didn't want. I think that's what you remember. Isn't that true?
I feel like I remember her apartment one night
Oh yeah.
because you could see the lights, and it was
Uh-huh.
something with like Jim got like Kentucky Fried Chicken or something, and
Probably.
that
Yeah.
was just like our version of processed food was our version of heaven.
Yeah.
I don't for whatever reason, and
Yeah.
so we went to her apartment, and I feel like I remember her sitting in that kind of that pose, her teacher pose picture with her legs and crossed on the couch, and
Yeah.
so I remember that, and I remember I think I remember the pool by the mailboxes, and we were so excited to get to go to the pool.
Yes.
Running down
Oh, I'm
there.
glad you remember that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I forgot.
But I don't have a lot of memory. I no longer remember the sandwich story.
Okay.
But I remember when I was a kid that used to really bother you that I
You don't
Oh, it was just that you didn't have a happy memory of her.
No, that was my aunt.
Oh.
That was
Oh.
Larry's ex-wife.
Yeah, the peanut butter and jelly that.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was a tuna fish sandwich, and I didn't like them for a long time, and I didn't want to eat it. And she said I had to.
She kept bringing it out every meal, didn't she?
No. That was
That was Carol.
Carol. No.
Karen.
Yeah.
Karen did that.
That's what I meant. I thought that's what you were talking
That
about.
was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah, with your mother, it was a tuna fish sandwich.
Yeah.
But
I
I
see.
don't remember anything except that I said I didn't want to eat it, and she said I needed to.
Oh.
But I mean, and that just made you so sad, and I was Like, I mean, I watched, I mean, you just do that with kids, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Just
Last week.
all last week was bargaining with terrorists.
Now
One bite of this and then you get that. So,
that you're a grandmother, you have the karmic payback.
oh, I don't even know what to do with the terrorist anymore. Nori's already running circles around me, man.
That's cute.
Oh,
I would have
yeah.
just given her whatever she, but I mean, I must have been indignant about it when I was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably, but I've matured.
Oh,
I don't
yes.
even remember. I blocked it out.
That's right.
Winston,
That's right.
okay. You see, this dog has been sitting on my lap for most of the.
So cute.
I think.
Oh, I
I
have
think.
another. Oh, I'm sorry, Holly.
No, no, no. I just was gonna say. I think he liked hearing the stories.
Yes.
Oh.
Who doesn't
Yeah.
like hearing good stories?
Oh,
I
yeah.
also.
The
Oh,
cat came
yeah,
up.
you got your cat. Yeah.
She
so
likes the
cute.
stories too.
Aw. I was thinking there's a story about when Big Jim and Mavis came over for dinner. And I remember we were very stressed as a family that we were performing. We had to have everything perfect. And I don't know if that's one of the times where I made a comment about Big Jim being bald. I think that did. I feel like I made a comment about Big Jim being bald.
Oh, I don't
Like,
remember that you ever did that. But I
yeah.
might have missed it. I might have been out of the room.
I was in the period of bald obsession that I had. Like, he's
Oh.
bald, but we won't be talking about it. But so
I
I
thought
said
that was a guy in a
something.
store.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
said something about Big Jim being bald. But
Oh.
what I remember was somebody spilled red wine, and I think it was Mavis on a white carpet. And
Oh.
or on the tablecloth. It wasn't the white. It was like a white tablecloth. Something
It was
happened where
Betty.
this.
It was Betty.
Oh, it was Betty. Oh, okay.
Because you thought Betty was perfect, and you
That's
kind of
right. Yeah.
you
I thought
loved
Betty-
it that Betty made a mess.
Exactly. Oh.
It was just the guy who came to our door that I remember that you looked up at him and then you looked at me and said, "He's bald, but we won't be talking about it." I
Yeah.
don't
I
remember.
remember that, but
Oh,
I just have like this haunting inner kid memory of saying something about Jim being bald and then going, but it's probably made up. I
I
don't
know
know.
why they call him Big Jim.
what?
See, Taylor said, I know why they call you Big Jim.
Oh, was that
Oh, is
it?
that what it was?
How do you know?
You all told me about it.
Oh, because
Really?
you're fat? Did I say
Well,
he
you
was
said
fat?
it. You said, I know why. You said to Big Jim, I know why they call you Big Jim.
And that's all she said, right?
No, she said, because you're so big.
Oh.
Did I say though you're fat? Did I say he was so fat?
Did you say fat or big?
Maybe fat. I don't know. I don't
Oh.
Yeah, that must be it. Because it's just like a little shame in me. I can feel it like
Oh, well, that would make sense.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
Oh God.
So it's not the baldness. Although I did think a lot about his baldness.
Mm.
I don't
Oh.
know why I was so obsessed with that. Anyway,
That reminds
yeah.
me of Holly. I still feel guilty about not rescuing you when you started to tell Papa Bill one of those terrible jokes that your bad cousins taught you. How come I just didn't sweep you up and run out of the room with you? I feel so terrible that I left you hanging there. That was terrible of me. Please forgive me.
Of course, I don't. I just remember that the grown-ups were behaving awkwardly and very unlike all the children when Danny had told that joke a moment earlier. And I always loved that I was the bad one. When really I just was the one that didn't know how bad what I was saying was.
Does Justin know about what you said from the car when you were with the feelings and the guy flipped you off or something, or the car that went by and flipped them off? And what did you say, honey?
We were in like the big old van with Penny and all the cousins, and was it your place or mine?
Yeah.
Was that what I said? Yeah. Yeah. And Penny
So you.
did not want me around her children.
But again, it was totally learned from her children. All of
That's
it.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
We would get there and they'd tell us dirty jokes. It was like the
Yes.
first thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and everyone was always so delighted. So I went out to Christmas dinner to share one. And then I knew enough to kind of change some of the words because people were being weird.
Boo! The
Yeah.
boo, it's on the
I hate that. I was paralyzed.
Well, to be fair, I had said to you at one point, look at mom holding in her
Oh,
stomach. So maybe
That's right.
maybe it was a payback.
No.
There you
that
go.
was terrible because I
Sweet
was holding
revenge.
it in my stomach.
Well, we all did. I forgot how I stopped being able to do that with COVID. I realized I don't hold my stomach in anymore.
I know.
Good for you.
Or my tongue. Honey, you have no idea. I've gotten so much better. My battery is low.
Okay.
Well, we
Good.
are.
Plug in my device.
You're
Okay.
not still recording, I trust.
We are still recording.
Oh, we
Yeah.
are? Oh, well.
Yeah, I'll stop recording right now.
It's okay. It's been fun.
It has. We're gonna stop that.
One question I forgot to ask was how your dad came back when you were little.
I don't really remember that because Penny remembers that he would come and pick her up for like a Saturday and her mother would be crying.